Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jackie Weiss-Garber, and I'm a public affairs specialist with the Social Security Administration based in Richmond, Virginia. Today, we're going to provide an overview of the Social Security Disability Insurance and SSI Supplemental Security Insurance Disability Benefits. Today, we are working with NAMI Virginia, and this presentation is geared to NAMI participants. Please keep in mind that participation in this presentation does not constitute an endorsement by the Social Security Administration or its employees of the organizations and information and products not provided by Social Security. Currently, during COVID-19, Social Security offices are closed for in-person visits. However, we are open for business and can assist the public via phone and online through our online services. If you need to get in touch with your local Social Security office, please visit us online at socialsecurity.gov and visit the office locator link, which is ssa.gov/locator. Once you arrive at this site, you'll be able to plug in your zip code and the system will provide you with your local servicing Social Security office if you need to get in touch with that office via phone. Also keep in mind to be vigilant of scams during this time. As you can see on this picture in the red line, what should I do if I get a call claiming there's a problem with my Social Security number or account? Please be very vigilant that there are fraudsters and scammers out there trying to trick members of the public into sharing their personal information. And Social Security will never threaten members of the public. When we communicate with members of the public, we will inform them of appointments scheduled, and they will have they will know that we will be calling them. So please keep in mind and know the difference between a real, true Social Security employee and someone that's trying to scam you. If ever in doubt, please hang up and give us a call. When you think about Social Security, we're with you through life's journey. We're much more than retirement, as we provide a safety net of financial protection for the entire family. We're with you through life's journey, whether that's retirement, disability benefits, survivors, and other benefits. We are here to help you and millions of others secure today and tomorrow. Now, today's focus is going to be disability, and we're going to provide an overview of disability, its definition, and the different programs that Social Security administers, which includes both the Social Security Disability Insurance Program and the Supplemental Security Insurance Program, also known as SSI. To meet the definition of Social Security's disability, you must be unable to engage in any substantial gainful activity because of a medically determined physical or mental impairment. So that means that the condition will have to have lasted or is expected to last for a continuous period of at least 12 months, or it will result in death. So Social Security's definition is very specific, it's very strict. It's not a partial disability program. And keep in mind that there is a separate definition of disability for children under age 18 who are also applying for the Supplemental Security Income Program, or SSI. Remember, a disabled child also qualifies for SSI employment supports. When we look at how a disability determination is made, Social Security uses a 5-step process to decide if the individual is disabled. The first step is we look at whether the individual is working. Now, for an adult, if you're working and you're earning an average more than a certain amount each month, we generally won't consider you to be disabled. That amount we refer to as substantial gainful activity. We use a lot of acronyms, and we refer to substantial gainful activity as SGA. Now, SGA for a non-blind individual this year in 2020 is $1,220. And for individuals that are blind this year in 2020, the monthly SGA amount is $2,110. Keep in mind that when a person is working, if they're over SGA, they may not be eligible because they're considered able to work and earn over that amount. The second step that we look at is the medical condition severe? So for a person to be considered disabled, the medical condition must significantly limit their ability to do basic work activities such as lifting, standing, walking, sitting, and remembering. These are just some examples. If your medical condition isn't severe, then we won't consider you disabled. If your condition is considered severe, then we move to the third step, which is, does your impairment meet the medical listing or equal a medical listing? So our list of impairments is listed in what we call the Blue Book, which is available on our website, which describes medical conditions that we consider severe enough to prevent the person from working. So we look at substantial gainful activity, we look at age, education, work experience, and if the medical condition or combination of conditions, if there's several conditions, if it isn't on the list, then the State Disability Determination Services, or the DDS, will look to see if the condition is as severe as the condition on the list. So it has to meet, the condition has to meet the listing that is on our list of impairments. So keep in mind that Social Security will review technical aspects, and the medical aspects are reviewed by the state agency, the Disability Determination Services, which will decide if you have the qualifying medical disability. If the severity of the condition doesn't meet or equal the severity level of the listed impairment, then the state agency goes on to step four, Can the individual do the work that they did before? So at this step, we decide if the medical impairment prevents you from performing any of your past work. And if it doesn't, we'll decide you don't have a qualifying disability. But if it does, then we'll move to step 5, which is, can you do other types of work? So if you can't do the work that you did in the past, we'll look to see if there's other work that you can do despite your impairments. And there we consider age, education, past work experience, and any skills that you may have that could be used to do other work. If you can't do other work, we'll decide that you're disabled. If you can do other work, we'll decide that you don't have a qualifying disability. Now keep in mind, there are special rules for individuals with blindness. When should I apply for disability? Now, if you believe you meet the requirements for disability, you should apply as soon as you become disabled. Processing a disability application can take 3 to 5 months on average. Now, keep in mind that time frame may vary depending on the circumstances. We ask that an individual, when completing an application, provide us with all the information that we need so that we can make a decision as quickly as possible. But if we need additional information, we may have to reach out to the individual, and that's where time begins, the clock begins to tick, so to speak. So we want to make sure that you provide us with your correct phone number if you move during the process or this time frame while your claim is pending, to make sure to notify us of any change of address or phone number so that we can contact you and reach you if needed. We may be able to process your application faster, again, by helping us get the information that we need. How do we apply for disability benefits? Now, we encourage everyone to first visit us online at socialsecurity.gov/disability, or you can call our 800 number to make an appointment. I mentioned earlier that our field offices currently are closed for in-person visits due to COVID-19. However, you can also call your local office by locating your office through the field office locator link, which is available on our website. So that way, if you'd like to call your local office to make the appointment, you can do that as well, and the local office will set up a telephone appointment to complete your disability application. I encourage everyone to review the Disability Starter Kit, which is also available online, that will help give you an idea of the questions that will be asked during the interview. And you can find that Disability Starter Kit available at socialsecurity.gov/disability. So we're going to focus now on Social Security Disability Insurance. And again, the acronym there is SSDI. So SSDI is a program to provide income supplements to people who are no longer able to work because of a significant disability. So this is for individuals that have a medical condition that is expected to last at least 1 year or result in death. The individual is under their full retirement age, and they earn less than the substantial gainful activity amount. That is the amount I referenced earlier for a non-blind individual the SGA amount this year is $1,260 per person per month. So in addition to being under their full age and earning less than the SGA amount, they're either blind in at least 55 for certain individuals and have earned a certain number of work credits. So remember, the blind rules are a little bit different, and the SGA limit for blind individuals are higher. For someone that's statutorily blind, their SGA limit this year in 2020 is $2,110 per person per month. Now, we do have rules for the work. The following table shows the rules for how much work you need for the recent work test based on your age when your disability began. And this is for Social Security purposes. We base the rules in this table on the calendar quarter in which you turned or will turn a certain age. So for someone that became disabled in or before the quarter they turned 24 years of age, they generally need 1.5 years of work during a 3-year period ending with the quarter they became disabled. So younger folks won't have had as much time to work. So we don't have the same rules for individuals under 24 as we do for individuals over 31, for example. So as you can see in the middle column, in the quarter after you turn 24, but before you turn 31, work during half the time for the period beginning in the quarter after you turn 21 and ending with the quarter you become disabled. Those are the requirements for individuals between 24 and 31. And in the quarter you turn 31 or later, so for anyone 31 years of age or older, but under their full retirement age, you generally need to have worked the most recent 5 out of the last 10 years. So essentially you have to be insured and you have to have worked enough within a specified period of time to meet the technical requirement for SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. Now, moving along again, just to expand on the rules for duration of work for individuals based on age, this illustration gives you an example of how much work you need to meet the duration of work if you become disabled at various selected ages. So for the duration of the work test, your work doesn't have to fall within a certain period of time necessarily. You generally just need so much time or so many years of work. Now, keep in mind that this particular table does not cover all situations, but it is an illustration to give an example. Now, Social Security disability includes benefits for the family, and certain members of your family may qualify for benefits based on your work if you were to become disabled. So for example, a spouse, if he or she is age 62 or older, or a spouse at any age, if they are caring for a child of yours who's under age 16 or disabled. We also have a category for unmarried child or unmarried children, including adopted children, or in some cases, stepchildren or even grandchildren. The child must be younger than age 18 or younger than 19 if still in high school. Now, keep in mind, we do look very closely at our rules and policies as it relates to relationship. So if you have an adopted child, we may require certain documentation verifying the adoption. And in some cases with stepchildren, for example, we do look at support, the 1/2 support and other requirements related to the type of relationship. In addition, if you have an unmarried child that is age 18 or older, if he or she has a disability that started before age 22, the child's disability must also meet the definition of disability for adults. Now, moving into the SSI, the Supplemental Security Income, keep in mind that SSI is a federal program that provides monthly benefits to people who have limited income and resources. SSI pays monthly benefits to adults with limited income and resources who are disabled, blind, or 65 years of age or older. Blind or disabled children may also qualify for SSI if they meet the income and resource requirements. Now, this illustration shows differences between the SSDI versus the SSI program. So when you file an application for disability with Social Security, we're always going to check on your eligibility for both programs. Keep in mind the same medical requirements apply to both programs, but the non-medical requirements are different, meaning the technical aspects of SSDI are different than they are from SSI. So staff at your local Social Security office will review your non-medical or your technical eligibility to see if you meet the non-medical requirements for SSDI, SSI, or both programs. And once the local field office representative reviews those items, then we're able to send your claim on. If you meet those requirements, the technical requirements, we will then send your claim or claims to the medical examiner who works for the State Disability Determination Services, oftentimes referred to as the DDS. Specifically, the medical examiners work for DDS, and once they make the medical decision on the application, you will receive a notice by mail, and your local Social Security office receives notification electronically of that decision. If the claim is approved, you'll start receiving monthly disability benefits. If it's denied, you will have 60 days to file an appeal. Now, keep in mind, for SSDI, you must have recent work history in order to receive benefits, meaning the person must be technically eligible and have worked enough to qualify for SSDI. Adults under SSDI must have worked and earned Social Security credits in the most recent 5 out of the last 10 years prior to the onset of their disability. For younger adults, remember, less work is required, as we showed earlier in the above illustrations. Now, going into SGA in a little bit more depth, keep in mind the substantial gainful activity is a term that we use to describe the level of work, activity, and earnings. If it involves doing significant physical or mental activities or a combination of both, we will look at those details. So for work activity to be substantial, it does not need to be performed on a full-time basis. Work activity performed on a part-time basis may also be considered SGA. Now, the other bullets in the slide explain the numbers I've reviewed for 2020, what the limits are for an individual that is blind and an individual that is not blind. Keep in mind that SSI uses SGA as a measure of work during an initial claim, whereas the SSDI program uses SGA throughout the life of a claim. So this is why it's really important for someone that is approved for disability, whether SSDI and or the SSI program, to report to Social Security if they return to work or if they have a change in their work, because we may need to look at how much they're earning and what capacity they're working. Now, I mentioned the Blue Book. Disability evaluation under Social Security is known as the Social Security Blue Book, and it's specifically prepared to provide physicians and other health professionals with an understanding of the disability programs administered by Social Security. It is a very helpful tool, and it explains how programs work and the kinds of information that you or the health professional may need to help ensure that sound and prompt decisions are made. Now, the Blue Book has listings of impairments, which is categorized for both adults and children. We also provide this information on our website at socialsecurity.gov, as you can see in the link below, .gov/disability/professionals/Blue Book. And I encourage you to check this out. You know, remember, for adults, we will consider past work experience, the severity of the medical condition, whether it's physical, mental, a combination of the two, or one or the other. We list, the Blue Book lists impairments based on body systems and mental conditions. So depending on the disability the person may or may not have, we will certainly categorize those in the Blue Book. Keep in mind that we no longer publish the disability evaluation in a hard copy, but it is available online electronically. Now, we reference the Blue Book, which is the medical reference where we use to evaluate the impairments. And the Red Book is a different book, and it's a guide to work incentives. So, you know, one of our highest priorities is to support the efforts of disabled beneficiaries who want to work by developing policies and services to help individuals reach their employment goals. So the Red Book is a great tool, a reference guide for educators, advocates, rehabilitation professionals, and counselors who serve individuals with disabilities. So if you know someone that's trying to get back to work and trying to figure out, what are the rules, what are the processes, what period is this individual in if they're working or wanting to go back to work, how do they report it to Social Security, I encourage you to visit the Red Book, which is also available online at our website. Now we're going to get into a little bit of the requirements for SSI, and keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, with the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, you must have limited income and few resources, or be over age 65, 65 or older with limited income and resources, be totally or partially blind, or have a medical condition that keeps you from working and is expected to last at least 1 year or result in death. Keep in mind, there are different rules for children, and that's primarily because children may not have been able to work. We won't have a work history, so we'll have to look at function reports. In some cases, we'll look at IEPs, we'll look at medical records, and more. When we look at income, keep in mind that for SSI purposes, income means it's money that you receive, such as wages, maybe Social Security benefits or pensions. Income can also include such things as food and shelter or unearned income. In terms of resources, SSI refers to resources as things you own, such as real estate, bank accounts, cash, stocks, or bonds. SSI also looks at where you live. Must live in the United States or Northern Mariana Islands. If you're not a US citizen, but you're lawfully residing in the US, you may still qualify for SSI. This illustration shows the different types of earned income compared to unearned income. And remember, SSI is looking at all income and resources. With income, we look at wages, net earnings from self-employment, payment for services and sheltered shop, just to give you some examples. Unearned income examples could be cash from family or friends, interest, pensions, real estate, income from real estate that you may have, SSA benefits or veterans benefits, for example. With resources, we have bank accounts, stocks, if a person has a second car or life insurance property, life insurance or other property other than where you live. And then we do exclude one vehicle, the home in which the individual lives, burial plots for self and family, and some resources set aside for burial. So keep in mind, there are some exclusions of resources that SSI will not count for resources, but the limit for an individual for SSI purposes in the resource category is $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple. If you have additional questions about additional resources and income that SSI will look at, I highly encourage you to visit us online at ssa.gov and check out the SSI Spotlight section, which will provide a very detailed breakdown of all of the income and resources that we do look at. We also look at living arrangements when we discuss SSI. It is another factor to determine how much of a SSI payment a person can receive. So keep in mind that SSI payments vary depending on where you live. So if you're living with someone in a household, or if you're in an institution, if you're in an institution, generally there's a $30 maximum SSI payment, or if you're in a group care or board and care facility. So very important to know that living arrangements do matter. Now, with all of the different factors involved with SSI in terms of income and resource requirements, it's very important to report changes to Social Security. So some of these items would include, if you work, you must report your work and earnings. Let's say you reduce your work. That's also important, because if you reduce your work, your benefit may be able to go up. If your work goes up, maybe your SSI may go down, and we certainly want to avoid any overpayments. So it's very important to report these updates timely. Keep in mind that you'll want to report any changes that may affect your SSI as soon as possible, and no later than 10 days after the end of the month in which the change occurred. In terms of work, there is an SSI mobile wage reporting system, and also a toll-free automated wage reporting telephone system that you can report that information through. And you can also report it through your My Social Security account. So I encourage you, if you're an adult over 18, to register for your My Social Security account, where you can report those wages if you receive SSI. Now, this is just expanding on the different types of reporting under SSI, and you can see it's pretty detailed. A lot of different reasons as to why you would need to report changes to Social Security if you receive SSI. Again, you can review this list: change in address, change in living arrangement, change in resources, change in the household, change in your marital status. So there's many other examples here. So it's very important, if you ever have a question about it, you can give your local SSA office a call to report the update, and of course, visit us online to review the different types of reasons to update Social Security when a change occurs. Now, when we talk about SSI for children, keep in mind that we consider a child for SSI purposes a disabled person who is neither married nor head of a household and is under the age of 18 or under age 22 and a student regularly attending school. So a child may be eligible as early as the date of birth up until age 18. And when the child reaches age 18, their medical impairments are evaluated based on the definition of disability for adults. So we do have to do reviews for any child under age 18 that may have been receiving SSI. At age 18, we do what we call a redetermination, where we revisit the child's who's now an adult technically at age 18. We review the criteria under the medical requirements. To expand on SSI requirements for children, keep in mind, if they're under 18, the child must have a physical or mental impairment or a combination that results in marked or severe limitations in functioning. The child must either be blind or disabled, and if the child is blind, he or she must meet the same definition of blind as it applies to adults. Also, the condition must be expected to last at least 12 consecutive months or result in death. In addition, disabled children living in households with limited income and resources may be eligible to receive SSI. So for eligibility, the income and assets of the disabled child and parent are assessed. For a child under the age of 18, we do look at the parent's income and resources. Some examples of children's income would include child support, Social Security, child benefits, referred here as auxiliary benefits, and gifts, just to give you a few examples. Now, deeming is the process of determining how much of the parent's income and resources will count. So remember, with SSI, for a child under the age of 18 to qualify, we are looking at the household income, including the parent's income. And deeming applies if the parent has income and resources that we must consider. Again, the child is under 18, lives at home with his or her natural or adoptive parents, or lives away at school but comes home on a regular basis, such as weekends or holidays or school vacations. Keep in mind that deeming stops the month after a child turns 18. So if a child doesn't qualify for SSI under age 18 because of the parent's income, but they meet the medical requirements, they may qualify at 18, because at that point we no longer will deem the parent's income, even if the child still lives with the parents at that time. Now remember, at 18, for SSI purposes, we do make a new disability determination using the adult rule. So we'll no longer count the parent's income at that time at age 18, even if the child continues to live with the parents. But know that if the child does not pay for food or shelter, then a lower SSI payment may apply. The SSI application can be made as early as the day that the individual turns age 18. Now, how do you apply for SSI? Now, for adults, keep in mind that you can begin the process and complete a large part of the application online. And you may be eligible to complete the application online if you meet these listed criteria. If you're between the age of 18 and 65, you've never been married, you're a US citizen, you haven't applied for or received SSI benefits in the past. So if you've applied in the past, then you won't be able to complete this SSI claim online. So keep that in mind. And then the last bullet, if you're also applying for Social Security disability insurance at the same time. Now, if you're under the age of 18 and requesting a SSI disability appointment, you can schedule that appointment with the local Social Security office. I encourage you to complete the online child disability report online. That will help the appointment help you complete the appointment quicker because you will have already completed many of the medical questions listed on the child disability report. So you can see the link to that child disability report here on the slide as well. Now, what happens? Once Social Security receives the disability application, after we review the application to ensure the individual meets the technical requirements, if they meet the technical requirements, we will forward the application to the State Disability Determination Services, who will contact the medical providers to obtain the medical records. You don't have to provide all of the medical records to Social Security. We will, with the Disability Determination Services, make that request. If you have pertinent medical information that you want to make sure is included, you certainly can list that in the application and make sure that we have the source, the doctor's name or the facility's location, name, mailing address, phone number, fax, that sort of thing. You can complete those details in the application, and we will ask for them to ensure that we review that when we're making that decision. And again, the DDS may ask for additional information. If we don't have enough information, you may be asked to go to a consultative exam, but those requests are handled on a case-by-case basis, depending on the individual's medical records available. Now remember, the DDS, the Disability Determinations Offices, is a state agency that completes the initial disability determination decision. So they include doctors and disability specialists in the state, and they reach out to doctors that you've seen or that your child has seen for information about their condition. So when we request that information, they review it, they receive the information and review it and consider all the facts for your case. They'll use the medical evidence from the doctors, from the hospitals, the clinics, or institutions where the individual has been treated. So again, very important to list all of those medical sources in the application so that we can review that and make the proper decision. When the state agency makes their decision, they will send you a letter, and if approved, the letter will show the amount that your benefit will be, when your payments will start, and what your reporting responsibilities are. If you're not approved, then the letter will explain why and will tell you how to appeal the determination if you disagree with it. So very important. You will also receive what you need to know when you get disability benefits if you're approved, and that gives you important information about your benefits and tells you about the changes that you must report. And remember, again, if the claim is not approved, then you do have 60 days to submit an appeal. So please make sure, if that is your plan to file an appeal, that you submit that appeal timely. We mentioned reporting responsibilities earlier. I also mentioned that an initial claim can take about 3 to 5 months. And again, that may vary depending on the specific scenario. But in that period of time, while your case is being reviewed, if anything changed with your status, if you had an outstanding warrant for your arrest, if you're convicted of a crime, or if you violate a condition of probation or parole, it's very important to let us know. It's also important to let us know about these changes from a post-entitlement standpoint. If you are approved and receiving benefits, you can't receive regular disability or any payments that are due for any month in which there is an outstanding arrest warrant for a felony offense. So very important. So just tell Social Security right away if any of these apply. Moving a little bit more into working while receiving benefits, I mentioned the Red Book and the special rules that we have called work incentives. And we really try to work with individuals to help individuals test their ability to work. So if you're wanting to get help and go through some additional education or rehabilitation and training, we do have a lot of resources. For more information about helping you return to work, we can provide you with the Working While Disabled publication. And then also, as mentioned earlier, the Red Book has a lot of provisions available as well. One of the provisions is the Ticket to Work program. So Social Security and Supplemental Security Income disability beneficiaries can get help with training and other services they need to go they may need to go back to work at no cost. So most disability beneficiaries are eligible to participate in the Ticket to Work program and can select an approved provider of their choice who can offer the kind of services they need based on the condition. So I encourage you to visit this link, choosework.ssa.gov, to learn more. Now, ABLE is essentially an account. We know in Virginia, it was started in Virginia by parents that were working together to try to save for their disabled children. And the ABLE account is essentially an account where families can save up to $100,000 for their child, so that that money can be used towards their housing, education, healthcare, transportation, assistive technology, personal support services, job training, and more. And it won't disqualify the individual from SSI. Now, eligibility for the SSI program, keep in mind, remember, it is based on income and resources. So for an individual, the limit is $2,000 a month. If a beneficiary's ABLE account exceeds the $100,000 limit, cash benefits will be suspended until the account is below the limit. So the ABLE account does allow individuals to share or to save for their children, and it will not necessarily affect their SSI eligibility. Currently, there are 40 states and Washington, D.C. that have established the ABLE programs, and beneficiaries can enroll in ABLE in their state or another state that accepts out-of-state residents. So for more information, you can visit our website. Keep in mind that the ABLE Act amended the Section 529 of the IRS code, so it pertains to qualified tuition programs and allows for contributions to a college savings account. The funds are put into an investment account, and all of the growth is untaxed at the federal level. So in general, there is a $15,000 total annual contribution limit, and contributions can be made by any person. Another person, such as a parent, guardian, or person with power of attorney, may be allowed signature authority of the account. And keep in mind, the lifetime maximum does vary state to state. So for more information, you may want to visit the ABLE. Moving forward into health insurance, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about Medicare and Medicaid. Now, Medicare is our federal health insurance program, and oftentimes people will think of individuals age 65 or older. However, people that have disability or Social Security disability after 24 months of being entitled to SSDI, on the 25th month, they will qualify for Medicare Parts A and B. So if someone's getting SSDI after 24 months or 2 years, on the 25th month, they'll be automatically enrolled in Medicare Parts A, which is hospital insurance, and then Part B, which is medical insurance. So Parts A and B. Now, right now, the Part A premium, there is no monthly premium if the individual has worked enough and paid those Medicare taxes. And the Part B does have a standard rate, which is $144.60 per person per month this year in 2020. So if the person's receiving SSDI and their Medicare A and B begin on the 25th month of entitlement to the benefits, we'll just deduct the Part B premium, the monthly standard premium, from their monthly Social Security disability benefit. On the other hand, Medicaid is a state health program for individuals with low income and limited resources. So keep in mind, with SSI comes Medicaid, and in most states, children who get SSI will also qualify for Medicaid. In many states, Medicaid comes automatically with SSI eligibility. I will note that in Virginia, there is another step where the individual would have to contact the Medicaid office to show their SSI entitlement and complete the Medicaid application for Medicaid enrollment. Now, it's not uncommon for an individual that's disabled to need help with managing their Social Security or SSI disability benefits. So Social Security's representative payment program is available where it will appoint a relative, a friend, or another interested party to serve as the representative payee who receives and manages the Social Security or SSI benefits for the person that's unable to do so themselves. So keep in mind that we take this appointment very seriously. We do investigate those who are applying to be representative payee to protect the interests of the beneficiary, because a payee is really given a lot of authority to assist that individual to ensure that the food, the shelter, the clothing needs are met with those benefits. Now, we do have a representative payee portal that is accessible with the My Social Security account, which lets the individual and representative payee conduct their own business or manage direct deposit, wage reporting, and other reporting, such as annual reporting of beneficiaries. We will send a representative payee a 1099 for each year to show what was paid to the individual for the beneficiary, and we may ask for the individual to account for those funds so that we can ensure those funds are used properly. Now, something new this year in 2020, actually as of March of this year, is the advanced designation of representative payee option. In March of 2020, we implemented this option to help protect individuals designate representative payees if they would like to do so. It is not required, but it does allow an individual to designate in advance up to 3 individuals who could serve as a representative payee for you should the need arise. Keep in mind, this is not an appointment of a representative payee, nor is it a power of attorney. Participation is voluntary, and you can update or withdraw the information at any time. This is an option. It is not required. So we will send the individual, if they choose to participate, a notice each year listing their advanced designees so that they can review and see those each year. We will only contact the advanced designee if we determine that you need a representative payee to help you with managing your benefits. So again, this is really helpful for adults and emancipated minor applicants who do not have representative payee currently, but who may need one down the road. Now, talking a little bit about the My Social Security account, I encourage everyone, if they can, remember you have to be at least age 18, you have to have a valid email address, a social security number, and a US mailing address to set it up. The My Social Security account will allow you to access your social security record, and you can only request this account for yourself. You cannot request this for someone else, even if you are their appointed representative or their legal guardian, for example. So keep in mind, you will have to provide some personal information about yourself and give us answers to some questions only you are likely to know so that we can ensure that we verify your identity. Now, as mentioned, with My Social Security accounts, you can help someone in creating an account if they're with you and they have their own email address. They can answer the questions themselves, and they have been appointed a payee. But you cannot create a My Social Security account on behalf of another person by using the other person's information or identity, even if you have their permission. So keep that in mind. You cannot create an account for another person with whom you have a business relationship with, for whom you are a representative payee, or for whom you are an appointed representative. I encourage everyone, as we wrap up this presentation, to follow us on social media, to visit us online at our website, socialsecurity.gov, subscribe to updates, visit us on Facebook. We have Twitter, we have Instagram, LinkedIn. Oftentimes we'll post available jobs for Social Security on our LinkedIn page. And we also have a great YouTube channel where we have a lot of educational videos and PSAs, especially reminding folks to be vigilant of scams and what to look out for if they were to get a scam call. Again, visit us at Social Security. Thank you so much.